Hello, friends. So we cannot be afford to be so heavenly minded that we are no earthly good. So in this video, in this session, I shall be talking about domestic violence or household violence in families and so forth. So I hope you will listen and you just, I do this in order to bring the level of awareness and that every one of us may be able to see that this is wrong and how we can prevent domestic violence, and if we are victims, that we are to seek help to both for ourselves and from the abuser. And if we are the abuser, we got to make a determination to stop it, to understand it's not right and it's not acceptable, to seek out help before you get in real trouble or kill somebody or hurt somebody real bad, because there's a law that governs that the people relationships also, okay? And you have no right to be physically assaulting anybody. All right? So whether it's your spouse or your children. Let's go to some studies here. It says access to firearms yield a more than five-fold increase in risk of intimate partner homicide when considering other factors of abuse, according to a recent study suggesting that abusers who possess guns tend to inflict the most severe abuse on their partners. Guns. People with guns commit the most serious offenses on their partners. Okay? Now, of females killed with a firearm, almost two-thirds were killed by their intimate partners. This is serious, friend. The number of females shot and killed by their husband or intimate partner was more than 3 times higher than the total number murdered by male strangers using all weapons combined in single victim, single offender incident in 2002. So more than two-thirds of female killed with guns were killed by their partner. Can you imagine this some person who you trust your life to, who you say you're having good times with, sweet times with, who you abandon even your principles to be with? Some of you shouldn't be with these rascals, because you leave your church, you betray your trust to God, your vows to God, and to your better nature and to your judgment, and give in to the devil. And this is what you get in return. Alright? So we see how serious it is. So, according to the U.S. Department of Justice, between 1998 and 2002, of the almost 3.5 million violent crimes committed against family members, 49% of these were crimes against spouses. Almost half of the violent crimes were committed against spouses. So you're almost in danger equally in your household from your family members as well as from strangers outside. 84% of spouse abuse victims were females, and 86% of victims of dating partner abuse were female. Males were 83% of spouse murderers. See? 83% of the murders committed by spouses were men killing their spouse, wife or girlfriend. And 86% of dating partners abuse were females. Males were 83% of spouse murderers and 75% of dating partner murderers. 50% of offenders in state prisons for spousal abuse had killed their victims. 50% of offenders in state prison for spousal abuse had killed their victims. When you're hooking up with somebody, you have to be careful. If you follow what the word of God says, it's the safest bet that you're not hooking up with a murderer or somebody who will kill you. Somebody who loves the Lord, especially if you're a Christian. Wives were more likely than husbands to be killed by their spouses. Wives were about half of all spouses in the population in 2002. You hear that? Wives were about half of all spouses in the population in 2002, but 81% of all persons killed by their spouse. This is serious. So that's why in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14 to 17, when it says, "Be not unequally yoked with unbelievers. For what fellowship has righteousness with unrighteousness, with light with darkness, or Christ with the devil?" God is not joking. Not joking. Okay. Listen to this. It says, we're talking about violence. And let's go to the sexual part of it now. It says, according to the National Violence Against Women Survey, women are more likely to be victims of sexual violence than men. 78% of the victims of rape and sexual assault are women, and 22% are men. Again, men. Most perpetrators of sexual violence are men. Among acts of sexual violence committed against women since the age of 18, 100% of rapes, 92% of physical assaults, and 97% of stalking acts were perpetrated by men. Sexual violence against men is also mainly male violence. 70% of rapes, 86% of physical cases, of physical assaults, and 65% of stalking acts were perpetrated by men. In 8 out of 10 rape cases, the victim knows the perpetrator. 8 out of every 10 rape cases, the victim knows the person who raped them. Of people who reported sexual violence, 64% of women and 16% of men were raped, physically assaulted, or stalked by an intimate partner. This includes a current or former spouse, cohabiting partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, or date. Another national survey found that 34% of women were victims of sexual coercion by a husband or intimate partner in their lifetime. The National Women's Study, a 3-year longitudinal study of a national probability sample of 4,008 adult women. 13% of adult women had been victims of completed rape during their lifetime. 22% of rape victims were assaulted by someone they had never seen before or did not know well. 9% of victims were raped by husbands or ex-husbands. 11% were raped by fathers or stepfathers. Have mercy. 10% were raped by boyfriend or ex-boyfriend. 16% were raped by relatives. 29% were raped by other non-relatives such as friends and neighbors. I won't even go into trafficking, but let's go to the domestic violence by race and ethnicity. It says Native Americans are victims of rape or sexual assault at more than double the rate of other racial groups. For Native American victims of violence, the offender was slightly more likely to be a stranger than an intimate partner, family member, or acquaintance. Native Americans describe the offender as an acquaintance in 34% of rape, sexual assault, and as an intimate partner or family member in 25% of sexual assaults. So there you go. Violence in the home and so forth. So things are happening, and we got to be alert and see what we can do to prevent these things, on whichever side of the spectrum you fall.